Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of my F1 2018 career mode. Today we are here for the USA Grand Prix, the fourth from last race on the calendar. Only 3 more remain after this in the form of Mexico, Brazil and Abu Dhabi. But first of all guys, I want to say thank you for the video yesterday and voting in the poll to give me a bit of an idea of what I want to do for next season. Renault and Mercedes are the 2 popular choices, so I'll probably pick out of those 2 whatever I find is most convenient. Now, first of all, if you did miss the last race guys, for the Russian Grand Prix, I think, actually the Japanese Grand Prix, sorry. If you want to check that one out, then do click the card in the top right hand corner of your screen. Also in the top right hand corner, you'll have the video from yesterday, which is the vote for season 4. So if you did miss out, you've got a chance to vote, and in the top right, so I can see what you guys think in terms of what I should do for next season. So yeah guys, hopefully do check those 2 videos out. But first of all, we do arrive here at Austin, Texas, and once again I apologize for the FPS counter in the top right hand corner. For some reason my recording software let me down on that one, but you'll see that only for practice and qualifying, and for the race it will be gone. But we are here in Austin, Texas, a racetrack that I do quite enjoy, but I've never really got to grips with on the F1 game. It's a good racing circuit, but I always seem to struggle with. And this weekend, again, we seem to find something in the last race in Japan when it comes to the tyre temperatures, which is basically run the default ballast and don't move it back, and actually try and adjust the aero settings and try and make that work. Also got some comments about maybe running differential on 100, so you will see my setup, I think, in the race and also in qualifying, but we're going to see how it goes, and hopefully it works out for us. Practice, though, was a big struggle, but first of all, we've got a couple of questions with Claire.
How do you feel the competition is for you this season? You spent a lot of time on the track during practice. Does the car have enough reliability to sustain that? Appreciate your time.
And with that, the interview was over, and we now move into Saturday qualifying. Now, I was aware of the struggles I had in practice, and I knew they might carry over, not so much for qualifying, but maybe for the race. Obviously qualifying, being a 1 lap, it's not that much of an issue, so the issue is going to be more on the Sunday. So going to Saturday, I felt relatively confident that I could still perform and get a good performance out of the car and extract a good lap time out of it. I knew the car was quick. Ricardo proved that in practice, and I knew that there was potential there. However, I do also have to be honest, COTA is one of them tracks where the AI have been pretty strong in the past, a bit like Bahrain for me. Not as bad, of course. Bahrain's an extreme example, but the AI are definitely a little bit quicker around this particular circuit. Now, delving into Q1, we went out on the the Ultra Softs on our first run, and it was actually a good lap. I was half a second down in sector 2, and then I lost 1 point something in the final sector, all the way down to 18th place. So I had to go back out again on another set of Ultras in the rare second take in Q1, which is not something I do too often. And basically, I'm under pressure. I'm up against it. I've got to try and perform up against the clock. The session is now over, so we have to make this lap count and get through into the second part of qualifying straight away. Turn 1 and 2 perfect. Now as we go into the S's here, it's all about momentum and getting the right line, which I absolutely do. I get it absolutely perfect. Playing around with the gears to really get the car rotated as we do a fastest first sector. Definitely my strongest point of the lap, sector 1, as we now go through these left-handers, using all the track on the exit there as wide as you like, just like in the real life Grand Prix, and you don't really get a track extend for that one, which is I think quite fair, because people do it in real life, so I think it's fair that is pretty consistent in terms of the game. Now through the hairpin though, onto the back straight, already halfway through this lap, as we open up the DRS all the way down this back straight, and looking for the 50-meter board as your reference point. You want to brake just before it, unless you've got the confidence to brake right on the 50-meter board down to your apex. Make sure you focus on an exit to be very, very good on traction, as we now go into the very twisty Mickey Mouse section of the circuit here. It's all about mechanical grip and having a good car at low speed, and that's actually pretty good for us. We're quite consistent, and the car works quite well, and we're currently a quarter of a second up on that previous attempt, which is still not a massive amount, so we need to find some time as we lose a little bit through the triple right hander there. Now go through the penultimate corner, really attacking the apex. Very nice line through there, carrying the momentum through into the final corner. Third gear, attack your inside curb apex, and then on the power early on, open up with the DRS, and that is a lap of COTA. And luckily that 2.5 tenths was enough to get us through in P13 into the second part of qualifying, but I had to work for it, and it was very, very close. But we did jump up from P18 to P13 with just a 2/10 improvement. That's how close it was between qualifying and getting knocked out, as Ricardo does go quickest. As we now move into Q2, as always, we go out on the super soft compound tyres on our first attempt. Unfortunately, we do go last, 2.5 seconds off the pace, so it's all going to come down to this final attempt. So we're going to run on board now for a full lap yet again of the COTA circuit. Reference point for turn 1 on the right hand side is actually the yellow flag / safety car screen on the right hand side. Focus on your exit to really carry the speed through. We really now turn 1 compared to a previous attempt as we now go into the S section here. It's all about, like I said, momentum and getting the car to work for you. I actually keep it in 6th gear this time around, which was actually the preferred gear, and we're currently on a very strong first sector. Not the fastest of all, but still a very good personal best as we attack that inside curb. This time not running particularly wide on the exit, gaining a little bit of lap time as we now go down the hill, braking out the 100-meter board down to 3rd gear, pick up your apex, 2nd gear to rotate the car on the front end as we get on the power very early on. I probably could have broke a little bit later and probably avoided the lockup if I'd got it perfect, as we now go onto the back straight, and now we're looking once again for the 50-meter board as your reference point for the braking here. Down to 3rd gear, make sure you really attack the inside curb. Focus though on your exit as we now go into the tight and twisty middle sector here and the final part of the circuit, where it's all about, like I said, mechanical grip and really maximising the lap time here. And we're doing a great job so far compared to our previous best of maximising the lap as we now go through the triple right hand inverted turkey, you could say, famous turn 8, as we now go into the final 2 corners here. Once again, really attacking that inside curb, letting the car run out wide. A lot of time gained there as we now go into the final corner, really attacking the apex again, focusing on our exit, open up the DRS, and we do improve by over a second. However, it's not enough and we just miss out in 11th place. However, that's not too bad as we will get the free toss of tyre in tomorrow's race. So ultimately, not too bad of a lap time there, and I'm not too disappointed. We do miss out by about 2:10, so ultimately quite a way to go. But Ricciardo really dominant in Q2 there, and hopefully he can go on to get pole position. But overall, that was qualifying, and we now move into Sunday for the race for the US GP.
What fantastic enthusiasm we have for Formula One here in the United States of America. And it's an enthusiasm born from generations of memorable Grand Prix racing. Bruce McLaren took his maiden victory at Sebring way back in 1959, and John Watson's 1983 victory at Long Beach, well, that still holds the record for the lowest ever starting position for a race winner. We have 10 turns to the left and 10 to the right here at the fantastic Circuit of the Americas, overtaking opportunities into turn 1 and 12 at this anti-clockwise 3.6 mile track, and we should see average lap speeds of around 126 miles per hour. Joining me for today's race once again is Anthony Davidson. Let's talk briefly about Sebastian Vettel. Everything's on the line here today, the title hangs in the balance. So how do you think they'll be coping with all that pressure?
I think as long as they keep their mind on the task and on its historical significance, they'll be just fine. This is a race just like any other. You do the best you can and accept that sometimes things are going to happen outside of your control. If they can approach today with that attitude, the pressure shouldn't be a problem.
We're almost ready to go then, and this is what the starting grid looks like for today's race. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The Finn starts from pole position, with Daniel Ricciardo slotting in alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Perez, Carlos Sainz and Ocon, Gasly, Hartley, Raikkonen. They've taken a grid penalty, and Martinez, Vettel, Alonso, Nico Hülkenberg and Ericsson, Leclerc, Magnussen, Lance Stroll and Stoffel van Dorn. Sirotkin and Roman Grosjean starts from the back of the grid. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Right then, here we go. It's race day at Austin, Texas. Row number 5 on the grid alongside Kimi Raikkonen and Sebastian Vettel behind me in P11 in a Ferrari sandwich. It's going to be very interesting because Vettel taking yet another penalty this race weekend. Last one he actually had a bad qualifying, but this time he's actually taken a full-on engine penalty. I'm guessing obviously due to the retirement in the last race that he had. He just couldn't make, obviously he must have run out of engines. So this is going to be probably our last chance to outscore Sebastian Vettel, and I'm hoping we can do a good job with it. I know Vettel qualified on Ultras in Q2, so he's going to have to start the race in the Ultra Soft. So even though Vettel's behind me on track, he's still going to be on a 2-stop strategy. We're going to start inside the top 10 with a free choice of tyres, so we are in the best position out of anybody. And in terms of the strategy here today, we're going to go supers onto softs, a pretty straightforward one-stop strategy here today, and hopefully it works out. I'm looking forward to it. based off of the signs, at least from practice, we've got a lot of tyre overheating problems as per usual. However, the car does feel good, nice and stable, which is what I like. Ever since I've got rid of the ballast, I'm actually much more happy with driving the car, and that's something that I always look for every race weekend. But with that being said, let's just jump into it here at COTA, and let's see how this race unfolds. It's time for the US GP. Right, here we go. We're going to get ready for the 5 red lights here in Texas. Lights out, and away we go. Not a terrible start, to be fair. We're going to cover off the inside. Raikkonen there, also on the super soft. We're going to go up the inside of Kimi into turn 1. Can we get that move done? We're going to squeeze him on the exit. Yes, we do. Up into 9th place. Great stuff so far. Ahead of both Ferraris. Now, if we can get some of these guys in front of us to put some of those cars in between ourselves and the red cars, that'd be great. I'd be keen to see what our straight line speed's like, because I'm running pretty low aero for this circuit. Taking a page out of the Ferrari's real life book in the recent Grand Prix, where they were a lot more quicker on the straights than the Mercedes, and hopefully that will pay out for me and give me dividends this race. So far though, into the hairpin for the first time, everything looks pretty straightforward. I'm running hot lap ERS as well to try and be competitive on the straights, but here we go onto the back straight for the first time. Let's see how we get on. Looks like we're actually pretty okay. Raikkonen's not really gaining on me, so that's a good sign, and so far so good here. Right, lap 3, DRS now enabled, and the bad news is my tyres are already getting hot. My rears are already above the 100-degree mark, which is very, very concerning after only 3 laps. Very concerning. I've got to say one thing, ERS consumption is very, very low around here. I can easily run maximum ERS for the whole lap and even some overtake, which is very, very good. It means we don't have to worry about that, and we can use it whenever we need it. Right, here we go. We've got our first pit stops of the Grand Prix here. Those on the Ultras have had enough, and that's going to release us all the way into P6 in this Grand Prix. Raikkonen lurking, but not really close enough. I'm going to lock up into turn 1 though. I've got to be careful now. I've actually selected a little turn of front wing. I want to get a little bit more front wing added on to the front, so I'm going to switch from value 4 to 5. Sorry, to have a little more front end grip. So far though, I'm not looking at the tyre temperatures. I only looked at that one time, but I'm trying to not look at them, but it does feel like they're getting a bit hot because I'm losing a lot and I'm getting a lot of understeer. Okay, small tweaks, moving the brake bias back a little bit. Also, as Raikkonen comes in, which is quite interesting, we've also moved the differential to 75, a bit more of a neutral position. I want to try and take some stress off of the fronts, but without stressing the rears. But we're now up into P5. Very surprised Raikkonen came in. He was on super softs, so that's a pretty telltale sign that these tyres might not be a great race tyre. Either way, we're staying out here.
Daniel's in the pits.
Ricciardo comes in, as do the rest of the leaders, and also Sebastian Vettel. We're staying out here, but now that I've shared the
Check
diff,
your MFD for a new strategy option.
all 4 of my tyres are getting hot now, which is so annoying. So yeah, I'm just kind of driving at the moment. I'm just going through the motions. With all 4 tyres worn out, it's pretty manageable. The car feels pretty consistent. Even still though, I'm losing pace. Okay, here comes Hulkenberg. He's on the back of me here. I want to go to the inside. Nico is on super soft, so I need to try and defend if I can. I'm going to show Nico the long way round. Go for the squeeze on the exit and hold on to the position. Good thing is the car doesn't handle terribly. I've just got a lot of understeer and a little bit of oversteer. But it's not too bad. Understeer is worse at the moment, but I can manage that. Main thing is just keep going round and cost people time on the 2-stop. Into first place we go, as Bottas came in the Mercedes. I was asked to change my pit stop lap from lap 12 to lap 9 and bring it forward by 3 laps. I've said yes in principle. Whether I do it or not, we'll find out. Depends how these tyres hold up, but I've covered myself just in case to have basically a pit stop ready for me. But I'm definitely struggling with understeer now big time. Hulkenberg's even closer this time around. We're going to have to go defensive very early on and show him the long way around. I'm actually pretty decent for straight line speed. The setup for this racetrack has really helped out in terms of the straight line speed and being competitive, as Hulkenberg locks up and we managed to hold on to our first place for a little bit longer. I'm definitely struggling now though on my tyres big time. I'm just running wide into every corner and understeer is becoming just critical. Damn, look at my tyres. Oh my god. Hulkenberg coming at me again here. I'm going to cover off the inside. As per usual, got to be careful with the lockups here. Show Hulkenberg the long way round. We are coming in this lap. I've had enough of this tyre. And I'm not even sure I'm going to make the soft go to the end, but I'm hoping that extra turn of front wing will just help get the car rotated a little bit more. But we are in big trouble. Right, through the penultimate corner, nurse the car through there and into the pit lane. Let's be careful here, not overdo it. Into the pit lane, there we go, onto the limiter, and it's very nicely done. Right, so we've got the entire field on one straight pretty much. 2.2, great stop. Pretty much the entire field on one straight. There's Raikkonen, you can see behind, he's had another set of super softs. I think we should be able to rejoin in front of him, so that's pretty decent. And we are going to the end now, at least we're going to try and go to the end on these soft compound tyres. Now, I'm hoping the extra turn of front wing done the trick, because I kind of need that front end. But let's see what happens here, and let's see if our pace is decent or not in this tyre. Hopefully it doesn't overheat as easy, because it's a bit more of a slower, more tougher and resilient compound. Right rear is already on 100 after just a lap and a half. It's getting pretty ridiculous, to be honest with you, around here. Tyres are not messing around, they don't like it. At least we've done a personal best, that's good news. Massive train of cars in front of us here. I wonder if we can catch up a little bit, but right now I'm not really sure where we are in the thick of this, and I'm not even sure if I'm going to be able to one-stop this race anymore. So there's a lot of question marks at the moment. I've no idea where I really am in the pack, basically. Okay, Hulkenberg has come in along with Fernando Alonso. This was meant to be my scheduled lap of pit stop on the first stint on the super softs. Let's see where they rejoin. Have we done enough to stay in front? Moment of truth. Up the speed on the pit straight. Here we go. There goes Hulkenberg into turn 1 now, along with Fernando Alonso. We're going to go on the outside of Fernando here on the warm tyres. A little bit of contact, but we just get it. Alonso tried to come up a little bit wide to block me off, but no way through. And we managed to stay in front of Alonso. So right now, my guess is Hulkenberg is the net race leader at the moment. It has to be. So let's see how this one pans out. Oh, Sergio Perez out of the race again. 2 in a row for the Mexican in the Force India. And he's out of the USGP. Wow. That could be the end of his championship. It really could. I don't think Vettel's going to retire for a second race in a row, so that could be the end of it. It's just become super important now that we score points this race, and that's exactly what I'm going to try and do. Cars in the pit lane here. We're going to gain a few places and get ourselves into the top 10. I'm starting to drop off the pace now. And I haven't looked at my tyres, but my guess would be it's because they're starting to overheat on the front. Therefore, I'm getting understeer, which is the telltale sign. Alonso there momentarily all over the back of me, but he's not really fast enough on the straight to go for a move. Let's have a look at the tyres. And there you go, front right is the one that's starting to say goodnight. So, yeah, we're kind of just going through the motions now. I'm not really fast enough to catch Hulkenberg in front, so it's all about surviving and trying to get this tyre to the end, realistically. Right, a few more cars in the pit lane here. We're going to gain a couple of more places into the top 5, I think, if I'm not mistaken. There we go. Pretty decent. However, now we have Charles Leclerc, which, unlike Alonso, that car is a lot faster on the straight, and he's going to be a threat. So this ain't over just yet. Right, here we go. Leclerc coming at me in the Sauber. It's going to be a challenge to really stay ahead, but we do have pretty good straight line speed. We've had it all race long, so we might have a chance. Side by side, we do the same thing as always and stay in front, and we get a VSC deployed, which is perfect for me because it gives me a chance to cool off my tyres a little bit. Not sure what for. No one's retired from what I can tell, so I'm not sure why that's come out, but I'm not complaining at all. And on cue, those who had to pit, Sainz, Vettel, and also I think that's a Mercedes, all come in. Here we go, VSC ending up to speed. I've actually lost quite a bit of time. Bottas has got a free pit stop and he's managed to make it work. I was way too lenient on that VSC period. We go back up the inside of Leclerc, but that was not ideal. We definitely lost time. I was doing okay. I was slowing down for the Delta and I got carried away by those in the pit lane that I didn't actually speed back up. Here comes Leclerc again to the outside. He's got a lot more momentum because he's come from a lot further back this time. However, my tyres are not that hot anymore thanks to the VSC, so I can go a lot later on the brakes and hold on to that position. I've just managed to break away from Leclerc a little bit now in the last lap or so. Ricciardo's now making the move on him for third place, but at the moment I don't mind losing a position to Ricciardo because we want to try and do well in the constructors, and he's faster than me, so he can maybe catch up to Bottas and Hülkenberg. And also I'm gaining points on Perez because he's retired, and I'm also gaining points on Sebastian as well, so he's in that massive pack of cars behind, and he's going to have to work really hard to get through all of those guys. So for now, I don't mind losing a place to Danny Rick because we're still going to gain a solid 4th place finish, and like the last race, gain some decent points on my rivals. Right, here we go then, onto the pit straight. I'm not going to turn up the engine. I'm going to let Ricciardo have this one. Hopefully he makes it stick quite nicely down the inside of turn 1. Let him have the position, there we go. Now I want to try and stick with him and try and get his DRS on the back straight to keep the gap to Leclerc if possible. Ricciardo with the pace, as expected, so I'm not going to fight that. Here comes Leclerc. He's actually got a hell of a lot of momentum this time around. Good news so far, I must say, the tyres feel a lot more consistent than the Super Softs do in terms of, I know they're overheating, but they're giving me a lot more grip than the Supers have for a longer time. That's allowing me to keep Leclerc at bay, which is good news. The question is, for how much longer? We've got Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes now, who's making progress. And as you can see, straight line speed is pretty good. However, Leclerc's straight line speed is pretty ridiculous. And there he goes to the right hand side yet again. He's good on the brakes, but unfortunately so am I. I've tweaked the brake bars, and now I've moved to the rear, 56%, because the tyres are getting a little bit hot in the front, so I want to try and take some stress off of the front end if I can. And there we have it, Lewis has got past Leclerc. So now we're going to have to contend with Lewis Hamilton. Also, I see a Ferrari making progress, and if I was a betting man, I'd have to say it's Sebastian Vettel. So there's one Ferrari right at the back of that train, one right at the front of the train now. But we've got a lot of competition here. There's still a hell of a lot of laps to go. This train is starting to get really damn big now. Luckily, Hamilton isn't as good on the straights as Leclerc is, so it's a little bit easier to stay in front. Meanwhile, Hülkenberg and Ricciardo now scrapping it out for third place. And Ricciardo is on the hunt for Bottas. He definitely is. He's the fastest man around this circuit. Oh, another VSC deployed. Second one this race has been deployed for nothing apparent. Not sure what that's for, but either way, I'm not complaining. Another chance to cool off my tyres and save a little bit of fuel in the ERS. Here comes Lewis again. I'm going to cover the inside, show him the long way around. Lewis actually locks up a little bit there, and that allows Leclerc back through, so that helps me out. I probably prefer Lewis behind, to be honest. Leclerc's in a worse car and worse tyres, so I'd rather have Leclerc, to be honest. But right now you can see everyone's in this train now, and it's just a massive DRS slipstream frenzy. That's all it is for 4th place. Look at that, personal best. That VSE helping me out, just cool off my tyres, and I'm trying to stretch the pack here. See if I can actually get rid of the DRS and have a chance to break away. That'd be phenomenal for me if I could pull that one off and let all those guys behind me battle amongst themselves. Look at that, Ricciardo fastest lap and takes the lead of the Grand Prix. Fair play, that's what I let him through for. And I didn't battle him because I wanted him to do that, both for himself in the championship and also for us as a team. Right, I've tried to break away, it hasn't really worked out. My tyres have got hot again now, so we have to go back to the old defensive duties. 3 laps to go here. I'm going to get to the end of the Grand Prix, that's for certain. The question is, will I get there in 4th place or will it be lower? Well, I'm going to try and keep it in rich mix now until the end of the Grand Prix. I don't care about my tyres now that much. We're just going to try and stretch this as much as we can. I'm definitely understeering though so much, but I think everyone at this point might be struggling with their tyres quite a bit, so it's the same for everybody. Last lap of the Grand Prix. We're going to have to cover the inside again here. Lock up on the left front, running a little bit deep. Leclerc around the outside. No way past though. Again, good defensive placement of my car. My rears genuinely feel like they've hit the cliff. I have to cover the inside here into the hairpin because Leclerc's looking for the inside line. My tyres though have had enough. I'm pretty sure they've had it. Onto the back straight. Let's have a look at the tyres. Rears not too bad on tyre wear. Temperature wise, they're all pretty damn warm. Here we go, Leclerc to the outside, one last time. Can he make it work? We're going to hold the inside again, squeeze him out, and that should be that, hopefully. Right, final couple of corners, and in a race weekend where I expected to have a very bad pace, which I did, and I've somehow managed to outscore Sebastian Vettel and Sergio Perez for a phenomenal 4th place, and Ricciardo wins. It's a brilliant weekend, and I cannot complain. What a result that is for the championship. Do we still have a chance? I'm not convinced, but you never know. Right, so looking at the final race results, confirmation as Ricciardo wins ahead of Bottas and Hülkenberg. We get 4th place ahead of Charles Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton, Esteban Ocon, Sebastian Vettel in 8th place, Brendan Hartley and Fernando Alonso. Kimi Raikkonen there, Pierre Gasly as well out of the points. And also, further down the order, Sergio Perez, the only retirement of the Grand Prix. Now, in terms of the driver standings, as you can see, Vettel extends his lead to Perez by 4 more points, so that gap is up to 13 points. However, we cut the lead down to 35, and you know, there's still 3 more races left, I think. Yeah, 3. So mathematically, Ricciardo's got himself in with a chance with that race win. He'd need Vettel to retire all 3 races and him to win all 3, but he's still mathematically got a chance. So there's 4 people going in for the championship. Realistically, there's only 3, and we still have a lot of points to make up. You know, it's a 35-point gap. It's going to be quite hard to make up. But you never know, it can always happen, and F1's a very, very weird sport, and it's not over until it's over. All in all, hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode, but we're now going to move into the laptop. Right, so first of all, as you can see, we hit the team goal for 8 practice programs, so we've succeeded there, and we've got those extra points that sort of counteract the fact we had a very poor session on Friday. Now, we have 1,500 points to spend. Now, what I'm looking at here, possible options, realistically, it's probably going to be the engine. Now, we've got fuel consumption or just more engine power. I think I'm going to go for the engine power. We're just going to try and get as much as we can out of the car, basically. So we're just going to go for that. Get on the car for the next race. And yeah, that's going to be pretty much it. I reckon we can maybe squeeze one more upgrade in for the fuel consumption for Brazil. And that's going to be pretty much it then for this car. Not much more we can do. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this episode. With this upgrade, by the way, as you can see, we've got an ultimate one on the way for Abu Dhabi, the very last race. But we are really putting away in the R&D charts. But all in all, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this episode, like I said. And if you have, then please drop a like on the video. Also, do get subscribed for daily Formula 1 content. Also, turn notifications to not miss a single video from me. And finally, check out these 2 videos on your screen if you have missed them. But other than that, thank you for watching, guys. This is my next one very, very soon. But until then, it's goodbye from me.